Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe. Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Laxman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Laxman Hanuman. Sita Ram Laxman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Laxman Hanuman. Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Ranitai, Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol, Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol. Jai. Radha Gokulananda ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Gorintai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. Om Gyana Tirmayandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitanyena Bhutaye Swayam Rupa Kadadmayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tam Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Drubascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutaye Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prasyatya Desatarne. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And before we begin, also we're going to invoke the blessings of the Supreme Lord. So I'm going to say, you can repeat after me if you wish. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And before we begin, I'd like to seek your blessings as well, and also the blessings of those who may be listening online. Thank you. So we're reading today from chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness. So we're first going to recite the Sanskrit. So Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punar Yogam Chasam Sasi Yatreya Etayor Ekam Tadme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punar Yogam Samsasi Yatreya Etayor Ekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishtitam. So, and then the translation. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me, definitely, which of the two is more beneficial? So Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me, definitely, which of the two is more beneficial? And purport. In this 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because, being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the 2nd chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. How to get out of this material engagement by buddhi yoga or devotional service was also explained therein. In the 3rd chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the 4th chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight. Being situated in perfect knowledge, therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work and devotion and inaction and knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation and knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyas or renunciation and knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity, because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. He inquires, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. So we'll just read the translation one more time. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me which of the two is more beneficial? So first of all, Krishna was saying to renounce work. Basically, so we should understand. We basically need to understand what exactly is karma. So to understand this is we get a more clear idea, and exactly how do our activities actually influence our circumstances. So as it said in the purport, it was explained earlier that we're not this body, but we're a soul, and the soul by nature is always active. So basically, we have to be active in some way. So it's not really practical to simply renounce all activities. Um, and this is the point in which Krishna is trying to impress upon Arjuna that actually um, in the second chapter, Arjuna says to Krishna, "Now I am confused and have lost all composure due to miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am a soul surrendered unto you and your disciple. Please instruct me." So, in terms of actually Krishna surrendering to Arjuna, surrendering to Krishna in devotional service, this is the point actually. When one performs activities in devotional service, they no longer actually are considered action. They become transcendental to material action and inaction. So in material action, there's first of all different types of karma. There's action which produces good results, and action which produces negative results. So that action, there's pious activity and impious activity. So that activity which is pious naturally produces good results, and that activity which is impious naturally produces unfavorable results, or is known as sinful results activity. So, so we have to understand: is simply to perform pious activity, good karma, is that enough to do good actions? Is that enough? Will that completely rule out our bad reactions? So it's said like pious activities and impious activities they're like a bank balance. So the more you do of pious activities, the more you have in your bank balance. But devotional service is different. That's called a-karma. So devotional service goes beyond both good and bad results. Simply the result is actually simply just that devotional service unto Krishna, that Krishna will actually arrange your karma. So when we surrender unto Krishna, our karma is completely, it takes on a different form than completely pious and impious results. So when we surrender unto Krishna, what happens is our karma is then tailor-made, and Krishna will actually personally handle our karma. So the karma will, it's not that it may seem that a devotee and someone who isn't a devotee, they may seem to be both suffering and enjoying and so on. But the thing is, one is actually working for Krishna and the other is working for themselves. So that's a big difference. And when you actually work for Krishna, in terms of actually karma accumulation, it's a big difference. So the karma we actually get when we're actually trying to serve Krishna, that karma is actually, it's dovetailed for our own purification. So if we see someone who is, Sri Prabhupada gives the example of someone in a factory and someone also in a factory who is a devotee. So they may both be seen to do the same things, but the one who's a devotee, it's completely different. Even though the activities are the same, the intention is different. So one is actually seeking to please Krishna, and the other is seeking to please themselves. So with that motive, it creates such a big difference. And naturally, when one pleases Krishna, this is what actually the process of devotional service does, is that it purifies the heart and one becomes free from material entanglements. But the soul which is entangled in the material, its consciousness is attached to material nature and this body, so we're entangled and we have this false ego, which ego means our conception of self. So false ego is a false conception of self. So the real self is actually the soul, and the false self is the body, and our what we believe, or what we misidentify ourselves to be. So this is the false conception of self and the false ego. So when we actually are trying to actually just serve the body and the senses, that will naturally lead to more and more entanglement in material existence. Sure. So when we actually try and serve Krishna, that causes detachment, and it will sever like the hard knot of material attachment. So all these knots within the heart will become loosened or cut through the process of devotional service. So it's important to understand that just simply pious activity, it isn't enough to actually, just to overcome all bad reactions, because pious activity itself is still binding to material nature. Just good actions are still going to keep us just actually enjoying good karma in the material world. But it's said in the Bhagavad Gita that all places in this material existence, from the highest planet of Brahma Loka, down to the lowest planet, or even down to the most insignificant ant, that they're all places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. So that's the nature of the material world. Good activity, bad activity, it's a duality. So this material world is a place of duality. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Matra sparsas kunteya shitosna sukha dukkada agamaya peno nityas tamsatiksvasa bharataha, that as the winter and summer seasons come and go, good and bad, pain and pleasure, or joy and suffering, they come and go like the change of the winter and summer seasons. And they have their appearance, like they have the winter and summer and seasons have their appearance in due course of time, but they're temporary, so they will come and go like the change of the seasons, and we must actually tolerate them, and simply learn to tolerate them, but and not to be disturbed, not to be actually disturbed by them. So that's the process of Krishna consciousness, that we can actually transcend the temporary happenings of this material world, which is full of duality. The ups and downs and highs and lows are all temporary. And there's this example which is given, like the material world, it might give not such a nice, doesn't have such a nice taste. So an example is with our consciousness. The more we actually engage in devotional service, the more our consciousness will actually start to expand. And when our consciousness expands, the less will become affected by the temporary happenings of this world. And the example is given if we have a glass of water and with salt. But then if we actually keep adding more and more water and more water, over time, when there's so much water, the salt will be insignificant as well, that we'll barely even notice it. So it's just an example that, by expanding our consciousness, by endeavoring to become absorbed in a more spiritual atmosphere and of devotional service, and then we'll be less and less affected and by the temporary happenings of this world, and we'll be less enamored by the material nature as well. So Arjuna asked in this question, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? So I'm sure that will be answered in the next class, but I think we can actually differentiate clearly that the work and devotion is actually always going to be superior. So that's the thing, that if we actually work with devotion. Um, that's the goal of life. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, his final instruction, Sarva Dhamma Prityagya Mamakam Saranam Vraja Hamsam Sarva Papebhyo Moksyasami Nasucha. He says, just abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions and do not fear. So, from all our actual karmic involvement, Krishna will take care of it. And that's his mercy, and it's also his promise. So this is actually Krishna's mercy. So there's actually many examples, like of devotees. As we can see up here, we have Bhaktivedanta Thakur. So he was an ideal example of a grahastha life. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he was actually. It doesn't matter which ashram you're in. You can still you always work for Krishna in devotion. But in terms of an ideal householder, Bhaktivedanta Thakur was a householder. He had, I believe, 10 children, and he had a very incredible routine and devotion for the Lord. He had an incredible work ethic, and he was very excellent as well. He was a magistrate in the court in India, and he was so brilliant that what it would take others half an hour or longer to do, each case would come and go, and he would decipher immediately the verdict, and within 5 minutes the case would be completed, and he's very expert. And Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he had 10 children. He worked a very important job, and still everything was actually dovetailed for Krishna. So that's the thing, actual karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, that we give all the results to Krishna, and that's what Bhaktivedanta Thakur was an ideal example of. Each morning as well, he would actually, he would write in the mornings and do his sadhana, and at the end of his life, he had over 100 books altogether on Vaishnava philosophy. So that's one example of many. But even at Bhaktivedanta Manor, we have many good examples of devotees that actually work for Krishna. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yat karosi tad asnasi, yat jahosi tadasi yat tapasyasi kunteya, tat karusva tad madarpanam. So Krishna says, whatever you do, or whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you offer or give away in sacrifice, and whatever austerities you perform, do that for me. Do that as an offering unto me. So this is Krishna's instruction, that whatever actual, however, how much we are actually can engage ourselves in Krishna's service, we offer everything to Krishna. So whether we're working, we have our family obligations, so we can do this as a service to Krishna. That Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. Jai. So we, if we are engaged in our job and in our daily activities, that we can offer all these results to Krishna. And then that is actually what makes them pious, and what makes them actually fruitful. Because this will ultimately please Krishna. So naturally we have our obligations, but we can actually offer everything to Krishna. And we can, if one Prabhupada give an example, and the example of Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami also, that they were also they were quite wealthy as well, and they renounced the world, but they gave their funds for a certain time, a certain amount to Krishna as well. So it said that one should give, I believe it's 50% for Krishna's service, but that's after, when you take into account after everything is paid for, like the bills and so on. But obviously, Srila Prabhupada is very practical in the modern world, so that's probably just, it's not practical, not impossible for many. So he also said you can give your time as well. So however way you can actually help out and uh, engage in Krishna's service one way or another. So this is the idea of karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So just to actually, on the topic of karma, to understand more about karma, and karma can actually be understood more easily when we understand, that we are the soul and the body. But the process of reincarnation is very important as well to try and understand karma properly. So this is also it's also called the transmigration of the soul. So it said in the Bhagavad Gita that hinos minyata dehe overam kovaram jara tahata dihantara praptir dirastadya tatra namuyate. That the example is that the soul, like the body passes from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly at the time of death passes into another body. So this is the soul. It's continuously passing into another body, and karma has a big part to play in that as well. Karma and our desires as well. So we have our gross physical body, and then we have the subtle body. So the gross physical body is made up of the 5 elements, the material elements of material nature, which are earth, water, air, ether, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these are the material elements. And then the subtle body consists of the false ego, which is our false conception of material existence, the intelligence, and the mind. So as we go out, as we live our lives, based on our desires and karma, our subtle body will constantly is changing all the time and preparing itself to take birth again. So this is the process as well. So pious and impious activity, good and bad activities, they're not going to actually break that cycle. It's only the devotional service will actually fully end that cycle of birth and death. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 4:9 about one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again but attains my abode. So that's a statement from Krishna that if we are actually become Krishna conscious, we won't come back to this material world, but we'll go to Krishna's world and do with Krishna. So it's also described. So this is our desires and where our consciousness is. That if we're actually focused on like the demigods, the ancestors, the forefathers, then we're going to go to them. But if we're focused on Krishna, then we'll go to Krishna. And if we have like a tinge of desire, in the end that will actually hold us in this material world. But the process is so merciful that we can by the process of devotional service, we can burn up all material attachments. And it's basically said that, like an iron rod, that we're, our mundane consciousness, that like a rod in the fire, it will become red hot and like fire. So we become completely, ultimately Krishna conscious, and we'll have that same quality, the same qualities of the soul that Krishna has. So, which is Satchit and Nanda. So, uh, to actually become completely free from all these, from all these actual temporary desires which the material world will offer. And uh, it's very important as well, to protect us. Devotional service, it's a safeguard, but there's many things as well. For example, I mentioned earlier the analogy of two people working the same job, and one is a devotee and one is not a devotee. But another thing as well is that for a devotee, it's very important to keep up good association. So if we have devotee association, this is something which is very important as well, and it will safeguard our consciousness. So it will keep us spiritually strong. So wherever Krishna's devotees are, Krishna says that's where he is. And Krishna says, Maya Haya Adhikara, Krishna Shuri Sama Maya Haya Adhikara, Tahan Krishna Yahana Mi Maya Adhikara, that Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. So when the sun is present, what is the question of darkness? So if we always keep in Krishna conscious association and engage in devotional service, then Maya will simply won't have a chance. And it's said that Maya is very, Maya is very obviously very intelligent, and even the smallest opportunity, Maya can actually capitalize or take advantage. So it's said that Maya comes in like a needle, and Maya exits like a plow. So yeah, Maya can do a lot of damage if we leave it unchecked. Yeah. So I'd like to ask at this point if there's any questions so far. Yes. Sorry, Pooh. 5-1. Yeah. Uh, so just to discuss about karma a bit more as well. That karma it means activity. So uh, these pious activities um, are basically they're just regular karma, can be good karma, and then these sinful activities or impious activities are vikarma, and then what we call a karma, it's like inactivity. So a karma is considered devotional service because um, inactivity is basically it's not material activity. So that's the point actually. Devotional service is considered inactivity from the material point of view, and uh, for example, Srila Prabhupada, he didn't actually, his karma wasn't just ordinary karma. So his karma was actually, completely arranged by Krishna. And even when he was, when he seemed to be suffering, um, because it's very important as well for a spiritual master that we actually, um, when the spiritual master actually gives instructions, if we're not, um, if we're like a bit whimsical, the spiritual master will actually, uh, get some reactions from that, because the spiritual master takes our karma. So that's the thing. When Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, he fell sick, and they were wondering what was the cause, and Srila Prabhupada said that this is uh, it's basically because of his disciples. So that's something to consider as well. That devotional service is it's a and commitment to a guru is something very serious, and um, it's something that which is very essential as well on the path of devotional service. But it's a big responsibility as well. That the process of devotional service, we have to take shelter of a guru, and they can actually enlighten us on the path. So it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidi pranipratena pariprashnena sevaya upatex yanti te gyanam janinas tattva darshana, that if we actually want to know the truth, we must approach a spiritual master and hear from him, and serve him, and hear submissively as well. So it said that the self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you, for they have seen the truth. So this is the spiritual master, that he can impart knowledge unto us, and the spiritual the masters, this disciplic succession, it continues. So it doesn't just Srila Prabhupada is the prominent Shiksha Guru for all the devotees. So that means that Srila Prabhupada, in his organization, he has left in instructions. So these are instructions for everyone in ISKCON. So for that reason, Srila Prabhupada is considered a Shiksha Guru, or an instructing spiritual master. And then in terms of the actual initiating spiritual master, the parampara, the line of the cyclic succession still continues, and that's something which is very important. So it will always continue. It doesn't just stop with Srila Prabhupada, but it will continue on in terms of spiritual masters. So when we're actually ready, at that time, uh, Krishna will actually manifest a guru for us. So it's based on our actual. Krishna will reciprocate, which he'll know if we're ready, and our sincerity. That if we're actually sincere, then Krishna will arrange. He can arrange any time for a spiritual master. And that's something which is very important. Okay, so I'd like to ask if there's any more questions. Yes, Mati. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a good question. Does the spirit? I'll just repeat it for those online. Does the spiritual master have their own karma, or are they just here to deliver fallen conditioned souls? So, it's basically understood as well that that the spiritual master, he's not an ordinary conditioned soul, and in terms of ordinary karma. So that would be my, from what I can understand and from what I've read, is that the spiritual master, he's transcendently situated, and for that reason, his karma isn't just mundane karma, but it's all arranged by Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Srinivasu. Sorry, could you repeat that one more time? Sorry, Pooh. I, I didn't catch it 100%. Yes, yeah. Yes, okay. I'll just I'll repeat for those who may be listening online. Is It says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that if you accept Lord Chaitanya as spiritual master and Krishna as the supreme Lord, then you'll become perfect, basically. Yeah. But but, but like Lord Chaitanya, he, we still have to take shelter of a living guru. Yeah. 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 Oh yeah. So yeah, by Lord Chaitanya's example, if we follow his example, and by his mercy, we'll become perfect. Yeah. It's thank you, Boo. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. This will conclude today's Bhagavad Gita class. So we'll have Gaur Arti at 7. So yeah, thanks. It was a privilege to give the first class after the break from the month of Damodar. So Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Nama Yamani Udita Haya Bhakata Gita Same. This is a song sung by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. The purport of this song is that Narad Muni, the great soul, sage, is playing on his string instrument called Bina. Bina is a string instrument carried by Narad Muni. So he is playing on the instrument as vibrating the sound Radhika Ramana. Krishna's another name is Radhika Ramana. So as soon as he struck on the string, immediately all the devotees began to respond, and it becomes a very beautiful vibration. Omyo dhara burisha ghana. And when the singing was going on with the string instrument, it appeared that there is a shower of nectarine. And all the devotees, being in ecstasy, they were dancing to the fullest extent of their satisfaction. Then, while they were dancing, it appeared that they became intoxicated by drinking the beverage called Madhuri Pura, and as one becomes mad almost by drinking, similarly in ecstasy all the devotees, they become mad. And some of them were crying, and some of them were dancing, and some of them, although they could not dance publicly, within their heart they were dancing. In this way, Lord Shiva immediately embraced Narad Muni, and he began to talk in ecstatic voice. And seeing Lord Shiva is dancing with Narad Muni, Lord Brahma also joined, and he began to say, all of you kindly chant Hari Bol, Hari Bol. In this way, gradually, the king of heaven, Indra, he also joined with great satisfaction and began to dance and chant Hari Hari Bol. In this way, by the influence of transcendental vibration of the holy name of God, the whole universe became ecstatic. And Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, when the whole universe became ecstatic, then my desire was satisfied. And I therefore pray unto the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami that let this chanting of Harinam go on nicely like this.
one flower for Aarti. They buy flowers. The garden.
That's in the hut or the farm. There's a flower garden.
I know, but they only use that for garden. Why? No, I told Mike. He says that love it. Hare Krishna. की श्री श्री गौरानी ताय की जया जया गौराचंदे आरती को शोभा Ratna Simhasane Arati Kodena Brahma Adi Devagane
sadhu